Hello. I am going to help you work on Math Lesson 3.4. It's the last little part of 3.4. This has been a very long chapter. So we're going to start out with your name in the corner. And we're going to work on Lesson 3.4. And we're going to be on pages 122 through 123. And we're going to actually do numbers 1 through 10. Okay, so we're going to start out here. 1 through 4 is pretty simple. So 1 through 4 is asking us to complete the missing numbers. And 1 starts out with 8,000 divided by 4. And then it says blank thousands. I'm going to just put thous with a period so it doesn't get too long. Divided by 4 equals blank thousands equals this. So if I'm looking at 8,000 divided by 4, that would look like this. 8, the number 8, thousands divided by 4, and we would end up with 2 thousands, and that would look like this. Right? Zoom in just a little teensy smidge there. All right, let's look at number 2. So we're going to end up with 9,000 divided by 3. And that equals green box thousands. Again, I'm just going to abbreviate it, divided by 3. And that equals green box thousands. And that equals green box. So 9,000 divided by 3, well, that's going to equal 3,000, right? 3,000. And if I say, oh, I'm sorry, this is 9,000. I put it in the wrong box. This is going to be where the 3 goes. That's 3,000. 9,000 divided by 3 is 3,000. And if I write that out, that's going to look just like that. Okay, now we have something a little trickier on number 3. So number 3, they're saying 1,200 divided by 6 equals green box hundreds divided by 6 equals green box hundreds which equals green box. Okay, so let's look at this one. If you're saying this number, there's a couple of different ways to say it. You could say it 1,200, or you could actually call it 1,200. And that's what I kind of call it. That's the more grown-up way of calling it 1,200, right? So 1,200 divided by 6 is going to equal 200s, and that equals this, right? Does that make sense? Okay, let's look at number 4. Number 4, they're doing the exact same thing. They're saying 1,500 divided by 5 equals, and they're going to call that green box hundreds divided by 5, and that equals green box hundreds, and that equals big green box. So right, they're saying instead of calling this 1,500, we're going to call it 1,500. And we're going to divide it by 5, and we're going to get 300. And then when we do that, we're going to get this. Okay? All right. Let's flip over to the next page. I'm flipping over my big teacher's manual here, which weighs 400 pounds. Okay, so let's do number 5. Now, I think number 5, we should be able to fit it in this little space that we folded off. So I'm gonna do it up here at the top. And number 5 is 8. And then we're gonna divide, we're gonna do 9968. 9,968. Now we know that this is going to be our thousands, right? We know that this is going to be our hundreds. We know that this is going to be our tens. And we know that that's going to be our ones. And we're going to have if we have a little tiny remainder, it's barely going to fit. It's going to have to squeeze in there at the bottom. So we're going to start out by looking at the thousands place. 8 will go into 9 one time, and 1 times 8 is 8,000 because we're in the thousands territory. When we subtract, we're going to get 8, 6, 9, 1. And now we're going to look at the hundreds, the number in the hundreds place, which is 9. So I'm covering over the tens and ones. 8 will go into 19. How many times? 2 times, right? 8 times 2 is 16. And we have to finish out with the zeros, right? So, because it's 1,600, right? Think of this as being not 1,600, but 1,600, right? If that helps you to remember that you're in hundreds territory. That's what I think they were trying to get you to understand with this. Now, when we subtract, we're in tens territory, so I'm looking at this number in the tens place, and I'm going to hide that 8. Will 8 go into 36? Sure, I think it goes 4 times, right? 8 times 4 is 32. And we're in the tens territory, so it's not 32, it's 320, because that's got a 10 there, 20. Now we subtract. We get 48, and we're looking at the ones place, so we're going to say, how many times will 8 go into 48? And it goes 6 times evenly. 6 times 8 is 48. Right? And we end up with 1,246. No remainder. Good thing, because we didn't have a lot of room for remainders. All right, let's look at number 6. I'm going to do, since we're only going through 10, I'm going to do number 6 over here and kind of straddle the line and give us some room. So I'm going to go like this. Number 6 is 6850. In other words, 6,850 divided by 5. I know it's going to go in evenly because it ends in a 0. I'm going to set up my little fence, my little house. Again, I have a little teensy remainder, but it's going to go in evenly, so we should end up with a 0 here on the end. This is thousands. This is hundreds. This is tens. This is ones, right? It's always all about place value. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover over all the numbers except for the number in the thousands place, because that's all I care about. Will 5 go into 6? Yes, goes 1 time. And 5 times 1 is 5. But we're in the thousands territory, so it has to be 5,000, right? Subtract. Now I'm in hundreds territory, so I'm only concerned about the number in the hundreds place. I'm covering the 10 and the 1. 5 will go into 18 3 times. 5 times 3 is 15. But we're in the hundreds place, so it's 1,500, right? Again, they're trying to get you to see that this is called 1,500. All right. And now we're going to subtract. And we get 350. We're in the tens place, so we don't care about the 1. How many times will 5 go into 35? 7 times. And 7 times 5 is 35, but we're in the tens place, so it's 350. And when we subtract, we get 0, 0, 0. But we're not done yet. But wait, Karen, we're not done. You can't be done early. Right? There's no such thing as done early. Now I'm going to look at the ones place and I'm going to say, how many times will 5 go into nothing? And the answer is 0 times. And we end up with no remainder, right? We know that we have to put a 0 here on the end because 5 times 137 is not going to equal 6,850, right? But 5 times 1,370 is going to equal that. Okay, let's flip her over. This time we only have to have room for 4, so I'm going to spread them out a little bit. This is number 7. We'll do 8 over here, and then we'll do 9 over here, and 10 over here. I think division is pretty challenging, and so I like for us to do a little less. Less is more, as they say. All right, let's look at number 7. It says find each quotient and remainder. So they're saying 9 tenths divided by 4. So tell me what 9 tenths is. What would we call 9 tenths? It would be the same as 9 times 10, right? So it would be the same as 90 divided by 4. Now, this is going to only have, because this number has a tens and a ones place, it's only going to have 2 little rows, which is kind of awesome. So it only has 2 rows. This is the ones place, right? So I'm going to look right here. I don't care about the number in the ones place. I'm in tens territory. I only care about this 9. 4 will go into 9 how many times? Twice. And 4 times 2 is 8. But because we're in tens territory, it's not just 8, it's AT, right? When I subtract, now I'm in ones territory, so I care about, we have a 1 already here, but I really care about the 0, so I have a 10 here, right? And 4 will go into 10 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. And when I subtract, I get 2. So my answer is 22, remainder 2. And that's what they're asking for in your book in the green boxes. Let's look at number 8. Number 8 says 24 ones divided by 5. Sorry about that. So if I have 24 ones, that just looks like this. 24, and I'm dividing by 5, right? Now I'm going to have this, and I'm going to have this. This is going to be tens and ones. So again, I'm in tens territory. I only care about this number. 5 cannot go into 2. 2 is too small. So I end up with 0. Oops, I didn't mean to put 1 there. Sorry. Got carried away. Doot, 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 doot. All right. So now I'm looking at the ones place. And I have a 4 in the ones place with a 2 in front of it. 5 will go into 24 4 times, right? And 5 times 4 is 20. And I subtract, and I get remainder 4. So my answer is 4, remainder 4. I got a little too excited and popped a 0 up there, so you can just erase it out. Okay? All right, let's look at number 9. I like how these are just kind of a little bit easier. They're kind of an easier like practice, so it's not big honking huge numbers. Oh, I spoke too soon. Look at number 9. Number 9 says 1500s divided by 6. So 15 times 100 is going to be 1500, right? Divided by 6. I am totally not going to have enough room. This is the thousands. I'm going to divide it in half. We'll make it really small. We'll make this one a half C. Boop. The hundreds is going to be really small. Boop, boop. And then we'll do, I think we can have enough room for tens. And then we'll leave a little bit of room for ones. Too small. I should have written it up higher, sorry. All right, so let's look at our number in the thousands place. 6 will not go into 1. 1's too small. So we put a 0, we multiply 6 times 0, and we get, when I subtract, right? Now I'm looking at the number that's in the hundreds place. So I get rid of the tens and ones. 6 will go into 15 how many times? Twice, right? And 6 times 2 is 12. But because we're in the hundreds territory, it's 1200, right? I subtract. I get 300. I'm concerned about the tens place, so I cover over the ones with my big fat finger. 6 will go into 30 5 times, correct? And 6 times 5 is 30, but because we're in the tens place, we're going to put a 0 on the end there. Now we get a 0, but we're not done yet. So we're going to say, well, 0, 0, 0. How many times will 6 go into nothing? 0 times, right? And 6 times 0 is 0, 0, 0. So our answer is 250, remainder 0. So the thing I like about this is in the way that I learned how to do division, you kind of never knew when you were done. You just kept going until you got to a little tiny number. This shows you that you're not done until you're done with every place value, right? And then you're done. And that way you know, oops, there had to be a 0 on the end there because we looked like we were done, but we weren't done. Okay, let's look at number 10. Now we have 12 thousands divided by 7. I'm going to write it way up here. 12 thousands divided by 7. And that's going to look like this. I'm going to put it up a little higher. And of course, that's going to look like 12 thousands, which that's going to be huge. So this is going to be a little bit crazier. We're going to have 10 thousands. They're being very sneaky here. Then we're going to have thousands. Then we're going to have hundreds. Then we're going to have tens. Then we're going to have ones. Those evil, sneaky math book writers. So if I have 12 thousands, it's just basically the same. We just have an extra row, right? So I'm looking at this number right here because it's in the 10,000s place. I can't divide 1 into 7 groups, so I'm going to end up with 0. 0 times 7 is 0, 0, 0, 0. And if I subtract it, I'm going to get the same number, right? Now I'm looking at the thousands place. So I have 12, right? Because the 2's in the thousands place. I cover over the rest. Don't care about the hundreds. Don't care about the tens. Don't care about the ones because we're not there yet. 12 divided by 7. 7 will only go once, right? 7 times 1 is 7. And that's going to go, let's see, I think that's going to go right here. And then when I do that, I'm going to subtract. And then again, I'm looking at my hundreds, so I'm going to cover that over. 7 will go into 50 7 times, right? 7 times 7 is 49. And then I subtract, and I end up getting 5,000. Yeah, I get 100. And when I get 100, I'm looking at the tens place. So I ask myself, how many times will 7 go into 10? And it goes 1 time. 7 times 1 is 7. And I'm in the tens place. Then I go ahead and I subtract and I get 30. I'm not covering over anything because I am in the ones place. 7 will go into 34 times, right? And 4 times 7 is 28. And so I get remainder 2. So I get 1,714 remainder 2. Okay? They were trying to get a little bit tricky here with this. When they said, when they putting the 7,000 there, it's not going to be a 7 over here. You probably saw me hesitate for a second. If I put the 7 over here, that would be 70,000. And we're only in the thousands place. So the place value has to match down here what territory you're in, right? So I couldn't have 70,000 because it's only the thousands place, right? And down here with the tens, I can't have 700 because it has to match the tens place, so it's got to be 70. Okay? All right, I hope this helped you doing a little bit of long division practice. And I hope you've enjoyed doing long division. One of the things that long division teaches us is that it's really important to know your times tables. So hopefully you're working on your times tables. We're going to start passing them off eventually. We'll start doing that after class. If you want to pass them off, you can make appointments with me after Zoom during the week. We will also be having book club at that time a little bit too, so we'll kind of organize it so that we can do both. Maybe we'll have book club on Mondays and Wednesdays, and maybe we'll have times table pass off on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay? All right, I hope you enjoyed long division. It's not torture, even though it seems like it might be torture. If I can do it, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. I know that. So if you're struggling with it, we'll keep practicing it until you feel comfortable with it and until you get it down and you feel like you know exactly what you're doing. All right. I will talk to you later.